Hello again and welcome to this new chapter in which we're gonna have a look at candlesticks, candlestick formations, and the psychology behind each candlestick. And I'm gonna provide you with as much details as possible about candlesticks to really enrich your knowledge and to really actually show you what works and to prove to you that knowing all of those candlestick formations, because there are a lot, really, I'm not sure about the number, but they are a lot and you are not supposed to learn all of them. So personally, in my own trading, I don't use candlestick formations anymore. I used to use them a lot when I was starting out because, you start by learning all those basic principles, then you jump onto candlesticks, the Japanese candlesticks, the Holy Grail, morning star formation, go long, and then you are done. Well, this didn't prove to be the case, of course, but in this chapter, I'm going to provide you again with as much value as possible. So for those that are new to candlesticks, you can really see how they actually work and really to hone in on the stuff that you should be looking when having candlesticks, right? So what are candlesticks? Okay, so candlesticks are a type of price chart that displays the open, high, low, and close values, also known as OHLC values of the price of an instrument for a specific period of time, okay? And that period of time is your time frame. So if you open the daily time frame and you see one candlestick, then this candlestick represents 24 hours of price action. And again, it's important to understand that the candlesticks, but we're going to have a look at that a little bit later in the next lecture, that for example, one 4-hourly candlestick can consist of 4 hourly candlesticks and for example, 16 15-minute candlesticks. All right. And then I'm going to give you a little exercise in order to practice that as well. So it's super crucial. It's really crucial to understand where the candle opens and closes, because this is actually going to determine if the candle is bullish or bearish. All right, so it's pretty important to actually for your eyes to learn to read the candlesticks, and even without colors, you should be able to recognize if it's a bullish or a bearish candle. So again, the open and the close are super important. As you can see on that little example right there, for a bullish candle, it opens right here at the bottom. Usually it's gonna create a little wick to the downside to create the low of the range. Then it's gonna strongly impulse to the upside to create the high of the range. And then usually at the end of that trading session for that candle, we're gonna have a little bit of a withdrawal to the downside. Rarely, usually with they're called also Morobozu candles, you're gonna have a huge bullish candle with no wick, either on top or on the bottom. And this is a candlestick formation as well, but we're not gonna be focusing on those, all right? Next thing to pay great attention to are the wicks, okay? Because they signify rejection or failure to break above or below a specific level of structure, right? And if you remember how we actually identify a break of structure, right? It's a body close above or below the previous wick. Okay, so this is why it's very important to actually understand the wicks, all right? And of course, the bodies, as we already mentioned, they signify strength and control, and they're going to actually show you if the session of a candlestick is actually bullish or bearish, and how strong it is, and how much the buyers are controlling the market at specific time frame. Okay, and of course, as I told you, there are hundreds of candle patterns. You have a lot of them. So you have patterns that consist of 1 candle, 2 candles, 3 candles, 4 candles, 5 candles, and then at the end of the day, you're like having a big encyclopedia of candlestick formations. And do you have to learn them? Not really. And you don't need to know them in order to be profitable. What you need to know is this. Okay, so this is the candle behavior. A candlestick can print in 3 ways. It can either be a pressure candle, a strong engulfing candle showing a lot of buying or selling pressure. It can be a rejection candle, which usually is illustrated by a long wick. That signifies that while the market was, for example, pushing to the downside, a lot of buyers came from that level right there and pushed the market up. And this turns into a rejection candle. So again, this shows bullishness, again, but bullishness in the form of a rejection. But this long body candle shows you strength. All right, so this, for example, you can expect the next candle to just continue pushing up, but this signifies rejection at a specific key area, for example. And of course, we have the small body and wick indecision, which is usually a doji candle, and we're gonna have a look at some candlestick formations in the next lecture. But for now, make sure that you take note. A candle can print in 3 ways: pressure, rejection, or indecision, and make sure to identify those, and make sure also to find some examples on your chart. Have a look what happens after a super strong body like this, if you're, for example, in an uptrend, or have a look how the market behaves like this where exactly it rejects, at what structural areas does it reject, and what happens after a rejection. and also try to identify some small body wicks and indecision, which we are actually going to use for entries. So that is pretty important to understand all of those 3 candlestick behaviors. All right, so let's have a look right now at some examples.